All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. My name is Bill Soroka. I am the founder of notarycoach.com and the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I look forward to Tuesdays every week so we can hang out and get your questions answered. This business completely changed my life and I love to share it. And I'm just deeply honored that so many of you spend your Tuesday afternoons with us. My co-host is Laura Biewer, and I think she was also, again, skidding in sideways on a Tuesday. That's usually her teaching day. So she should be with us here in just a couple minutes. As we get started, I'll make just a couple of quick announcements. In fact, I'll announce for Laura because she has got a really amazing program going right now, her notary real world training. She's really been going around the country helping certain or particular states with advanced notary training. So it's kind of how to interpret or how to implement some of the guidelines and the laws of your state with all the different notarial acts that you have. We've had a lot of fun selling out in almost every state that we've done. This coming Saturday is Tennessee's turn. So if you're in Tennessee or if you know a notary community that's in Tennessee, now's the time to register for the Tennessee Notary Real World Training with Laura Biewer. I'm going to type in the link to register for that. And if you use discount code PEEPS, that's PEEPS, you can save $70 off the registration for that. It's capped off at 35 people and it's already halfway filled up. We just released that yesterday or the day before. I guess it was Sunday. If you're just listening to the replay, that can be found at www.coachmelora.com/TN. All right, guys, Laura should be here any moment. Thank you, Wendy. I'm so glad that training worked out for you. Guys, this is a collective community. That TNT is like an old-fashioned radio call-in show, except that we're on Zoom and we have cameras. Our job here is to answer as many questions as we can for you. Usually the non-technical questions are better, like document specific. This isn't the best venue for that because it's hard to describe and we can't always bring up pictures. This is the perfect time to talk about growing your business, how to get more customers, how to build relationships, or go over some scenarios that would help you grow as a person or as a business. When you, well, we already have tons of hands up, which I'd love to see. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom. And then when we call upon you, please tell us what state you're in. That's extremely important. And then ask your question very directly. If we need backup information, Laura or I can ask you for that through questions. And Laura, I see you're here. Perfect timing. I've already announced Tennessee. Welcome. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself?
I would love to. Thank you very much. Hi, gang. This is Laura from Modesto, California, founder of Coach Me Laura. I coach notaries across the United States and all of their specific needs for their state. I'm also the founder of Notary Symposium, which is an annual event for notaries by notaries. And it's coming up November 6th. And we still have some tickets. So if you are thinking about that, you might want to take action sooner than later, because once we're out, we're out. And welcome everyone today.
Beautiful. And I put all of Laura's links, her contact information, Notary Symposium link, Coach Me Laura link, everywhere you can find her inside the chat there for you. Laura, thank you so much. I know you're skidding in here sideways from teaching this morning. Appreciate you being here. Let's jump in and answer some questions. Soraya Davis from California, thank you so much for being here. How can we help today?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, I have two quick questions. I promise I'll be brief. So when filling out an acknowledgement for a power of an attorney, where you put the signer's name, do I put their name or do I put the John Doe by Jane Doe as attorney in fact? Does that go on the certificate as well, like you would sign on a document?
Good question, Laura. What do you say?
So at the signature line is where we're going to see the status. You know, Joe Signer by Jane Helper, as attorney in fact. Then in the certificate, you're only going to name the person who is standing in front of you at the time, which is the attorney in fact. Because in California, we're not allowed to list their status.
Okay.
Now, if you do have the NNA acknowledgement certificates at the bottom, there's an area that says capacity claimed by the signer. And that's where you could put the person and then who she's representing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So for the second question, for split signings, if I receive a package with only one right to cancel form, am I only filling out that first date and leaving the second date blank for the second notary and signer?
So Bill, I don't know your experience. Mine is that there are right to cancels for the person I have in front of me, and there's a second set of right to cancels for the other person, and the dates will be different because they're going to go with the second person. Now that's my experience. Bill?
Yep, similar experience as well. And if they don't have enough up in the main file, I'll oftentimes just print out extra ones so they are there. And if they don't have different dates, then you can have the borrower do the strike through, make the correct dates and initial.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
All right, you're so welcome, Soraya. Thanks for being here. Don Winings. Hi, Don. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Sorry, to mentally or challenged with technology, but I'm good. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm from California. How are you guys today?
Doing excellent. Beautiful day.
Good, good. I have a quick, well, first of all, Jurat Inc. Presentation on Zoom got me so excited. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to check it out and see if it works for me. Second of all, I have a question regarding commercial loans. I was approached by a bank that I help out with regular residential loans. Are they much different? I have not done one before.
For some reason that did not comprehend, Don. Different than what?
So are they different than, can you hear me okay? Or is
I
it
sure can.
My question you're not understanding?
Yeah, say it again. Say it again.
Okay. So I'm very experienced with residential loans, meaning HELOCs, refis, etc.
Yeah.
I have been approached to do a commercial loan.
Oh,
are they much different than residential? Does that make sense now?
It does. For some reason, I heard residential and residential, and I'm like, well, this sounds the same to me. Okay, so yeah, so commercial loans can vary greatly from residential in a few different ways. They are now among my favorite type of transactions to sign, though. And they can vary because a commercial transaction could be just like a lone dental office somewhere on up to 1,000-unit apartment buildings. So you don't always know what you're stepping into. But the reason that I love working with them is in many cases, the signings tend to go a lot faster because especially on the bigger transactions, because attorneys have reviewed those documents and the person you're sitting with is usually the principal, a CEO, the president of a company, a vice president, and their attorney has given them the okay to sign everything. So they literally just sit and sign. So there's very few questions at that point. In fact, the other part that I like about this is even escrow officers say, don't call us, just call the lender and let them work it out, because commercial transactions are not regulated like residential mortgages, where we have these stacks of papers of disclosures and all of this stuff that's regulated by the federal government. Commercial transactions are not regulated as much. Any two people who own a company and decide they're going to sell it, or the real estate that goes with it, can make whatever kind of weird deals they want. So the escrow officers very often just say, nope, any question on that at this point, just go straight to the lender. For those reasons, I really enjoy them. The other huge part of liking commercial transactions is that they often pay significantly more than residential loan packages, because these presidents, CEOs, these principals tend to value their time. And if you can go to their office, to their helipad, meet them on the tarmac on their private airplane, which I've done, they are willing to pay a premium for those that type of convenience.
Okay.
And then Laura, I'd love for you, because I know you have done a few of these as well. What do you think?
Well, mine were hotels that I did, which was pretty fun, actually. But some of the documents were different than, what I would experience in residential. But overall, there's still a note. It was a promissory note. I mean, a lot of the documents are in common, but there are documents that were specific to this loan that was for hotel. And I don't do that many. I don't really go after them, but they find me once in a while. Another one was a corporate, actually wasn't even a loan signing, really. It was a corporation that was being sold to somebody else. And that had a lot of different legal documents that I can't even tell you what they were. But those jobs paid probably twice what I would normally take for a regular loan signing. And I don't get paid $100 for a loan signing, right? So I get paid very well for a loan signing, and then it was probably twice that. So if you can get connected into that, that is good news for you. And there aren't a lot of notaries really connected into it.
That's true. They don't really specialize in that. And then how you would do that too is just one thing to keep in mind is all of these big title companies that we're used to working with anyway, they very oftentimes have a commercial division. And in those, and what I have found is in the commercial division, they have very rarely ever been solicited by a mobile notary and loan signing agent. They have an established relationship in 3 instances on my side that just seem to pass the generations of escrow officers. They're like, oh, this is the company we just always use. We don't even know. We've never met them. We rarely talk to them unless there's a problem. So there's opportunity there to build some relationships that way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
You
you're welcome.
there?
Don, did we do a good job on that?
You did a great job. Actually, it's a client through a small bank here in San Clemente. She had reached out and I did a HELOC in the branch about a month ago. So that's where the contact's coming from. I guess the gals in the office don't want to do the notary work anymore. It takes away from their regular job. So thanks so much for all that info, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Yes, please do, Don. Thanks. And I just want to real quick, just kind of take what you just said. They don't want to do the notary work. They don't want to sign their own signings because
Got to cancel everything.
Hold on one second. Cynthia, you got to get
Oh,
you on
sorry.
mute there. Sorry about that. There had, before COVID, there was starting to be a shift towards escrow officers, or at least the people who hire them and pay their salaries, were starting to realize that there was they were losing value by having escrow officers take care of their own signings. Escrow officers should be focusing on either growing more business, meaning cultivating more relationships, finding more real estate agents or loan officers, making their contacts and growing their book of business, or they should be focused on processing or doing the work of an escrow officer with compliance and making sure that everybody that should get paid gets paid, all of that to an amazing standard. And what happens is a lot of escrow officers love the loan signings because that's when they get to connect. Finally, they get to meet the people they've been working with, but it's just not a good use of their time. So they need more people that they can trust, that represent them well at the table, and they can go on and do the things that help grow their business and their boss's business as well. So I think we're going to start seeing more of those types of shifts that Don just described.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks again. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Lorna, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help?
Hi, I'm from Texas, and
Right.
of course, I'm a new notary and a notary signing agent. So I signed up with Snap Docs.
Oh, there you
And
go.
then I came across last week twice through a text to say, hey, do you want to sign? Do you want to sign up? Sign this, go to a certain city for the signing. And I respond back saying, I will be available at a different time. Never received a response back. It didn't even say it came from Snap Docs. It just came from some other company. And then I got another text few days later saying my name and wanted to know if I wanted to do a signing, and it didn't go into details, and I find it weird. So I'm wondering, is that the practice, or it looked like to me it could be fraud, where people just trying to see if you're going to respond.
Yeah, great. I love that you're even thinking about this, Lorna, because it could be both. It could be absolutely legit because these signing opportunities come through this way. And here's how it works. So as soon as you get certified through the National Notary Association, they add you to the signingagent.com database. So you become visible to some companies that then scrape your data from that website. And they know that you're certified, so they start sending you orders. And it might be in other databases as well, too, that they're scraping. They might actually be even scraping the state's notary website. So it could come through that way. The ones that you want to watch out for are the ones that seem to insinuate that you have already agreed to a signing and you need to download some documents, and they tell you to click this link to download documents. Those are the ones that's kind of an indicator on that one. Laura, do you have any more specific information that maybe can help Lorna distinguish?
I don't have specific. It happens to me as well, where I'll get an email from out of the blue. I check out the company. I look at the company information and I start going online to research them to see if they've actually got, a bricks and mortar place. I check to see if the name of the person is actually a name on the list of employees that are there. If I see that it assumes that I'm going to do the job and they're already giving me personal information about their client, I suspect that. When I'm getting a question about, can I do an order? I might know the city, I might know the time, but they're not going to share the name of the client and the address of the client. I mean, when there's too much information in there, that tells me that's not a legit one.
Okay.
And then Lorna, sometimes it's difficult to ascertain in text, but on email, I find it becomes even more obvious if they have an email that comes from Gmail, Yahoo, or anything except for a company email. And even that, sophisticated scammers can even scam us on that. But those are usually a really good indicator. When it says escrow officer1@gmail.com, that's probably not something that you want to trust on that one.
Yeah. And
I
also know that is very helpful.
All right, Lorna. Well, thank
I
you.
also noticed too that they gave out just their phone number, and the other one looked like, how you text to something, they just had the text number, like text to whoever. They didn't really have a phone number. So that was like, to me, obvious as well.
There are a few companies that they do business that way. They'll shoot you a real quick short message with a quick summary, and if you want it, you either respond back or I've even seen some now requesting a phone call. But I think those might be smaller companies.
Okay. Thank you.
Lorna, don't stop at SnapDocs either, okay? There's so many new notaries that come in and they just sign up for SnapDocs or signing order, and then they just wait for the phones to ring. I'd encourage you not to do that. There are hundreds of signing companies out there, and you want to build a relationship individually with them as well. You absolutely want to stay on SnapDocs and signing order until it doesn't make sense for you, but just know they are not the end all be all. You want to keep moving, keep cultivating those relationships. All right, Lorna, thank you so much for being here. Celicia Jones, so great to see you here. I know you're in Florida.
I am in Florida, and I'm singing the Google My Business Blues.
Oh, bummer.
And I don't know why my links on my reviews aren't working. And, we've got a GMB page for Orlando, Kissimmee, Tampa, Miami, Chapel, and none of the review links, it's like they 404. And you can't get a hold of Google. So I was wondering if you had any, if you do it from a desktop works, but the mobile does not work. And I always like to have a mobile, I have like a little set of links that I send to Bill after I completed his wedding or his notary job. If you would be so kind as to leave us a Google review, it really helps. Thanks, that would be great.
Yeah.
And I've got my Google link, my Yelp link, and my Facebook link. But for whatever reason, the mobile review link is not working. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, I don't have a clue on that one. I know Tyler is probably going to be our best bet. The Ask Me Anything call is this Friday if he's available. But maybe we could, I mean, Laura, do you have any insight into?
No, nothing when it has to do with something's not working, technology, you know what?
Exactly.
Right?
We got a guy for that. Absolutely. And I don't want to open it up because that can be a can of worms on a call like this. But if there's anybody on the call that can help Celicia, post some suggestions in the chat window so she can see them there. And then Celicia, if you would text me directly, I'll ask Tyler now, and maybe he can be prepared on Friday to give us a good answer.
Excellent. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. And Laura, I wonder if we could just interject real quick and cut in and talk about the notary protests. And in particular, I know Barbara would love to know about New Jersey, if you know anything about that, but just overall, what is a notary protest and how are we involved with that?
So some states allow for a notary public to create a protest, and a protest is a certificate of dishonor. And what it means is somebody didn't get paid, right, for their service, and they have to present evidence that, hey, I told you owe me money, and you haven't paid me. There are a lot of details. And so most of the states that I looked at do not recommend notaries to be doing this, because unless you know the state's uniform commercial code, then you may not follow the steps and create the documentation properly. And then when it goes to court, it's all for naught. So you would have to create, in New Jersey specifically, you have to record every protest, and it's saying you have to have a book just for that purpose, not your regular notary journal. The process would be to have a document, creating a document that identifies the document. Was this a note that has been dishonored? For instance, certify that due notice of payment was made. There was a presentment process. So this isn't a surprise to this person. Certify that the document had been dishonored by non-payment or non-acceptance by the people that were authorized to pay such a debt. And it refers to Division of Revenue, New Jersey Notary Public Manual, page 7. That's where that just came from. So you have to note who were the people that the presentment was made to, the notification. You have to record the facts about any of the details, any of the communications that go back and forth. This is not fill out a certificate and you're done, right?
Yeah, this sounds deep.
Right there, and then you got to sign and date and stamp. That's where the notary part comes in. Your stamp would be placed to, of course, your signature, and then that journal entry needs to include, I think it's 5 to 7, maybe there's 7. Let me see, 6 items regarding what you did for that protest. So these details, I looked up New Jersey specifically, but they're very common for other states as well. And the overriding thing I saw, because I looked at about 5 or 6 different states, is that first of all, some states, it's not an act for you to handle. Some states, like California, it's an act that's listed, but you can't do it unless you work for a financial institution. It's on the inside for a W-2 job. You couldn't do it as a notary outside of that. And then some states say, yeah, you can do it, and here's your information, but we don't recommend you do it because you probably don't have the training in the commercial code to do it correctly. So does that help?
I think that was really helpful. Fascinating. And that's something that we don't hear a lot of. So thank you, Barbara, for sending that question over. I hope we did a good job of answering it. I noticed that you put your hand down, so I think you nailed it, Laura.
All right, great.
All right. Yes, thank you, she says. Okay, cool. Randy Venters, I know you're in Washington. Welcome back, sir. How can we help today?
I've got two questions. First one is, so I had a signing into last week, and of course it was a late night signing, so I couldn't get a hold of anyone from the title office or the lender, but it was a trust that 4 siblings were signing for their, I guess both their parents were deceased, and they were signing the trust, and the money was going into the trust account. And the one sibling that I was signing literally had no idea what was going on. He was just told to sign all these papers. And so there was 2 forms that I had to notarize. One of them was a tax form, and it just asked for the tax ID of something with taxes, that had a form where they were asking for the social security number or the ID of the trust, and he had no idea what it was. So I was fine leaving that one line blank on that form because everything else was filled out, and then his signature. And then there was another one which would have been like the disbursement of funds, and he had no idea what to fill out on all of it, and he wanted to leave it blank and just sign it, but it needed to be notarized. So my first question, well, actually, I guess I have 3 questions. My first question related to that was, should I have not notarized it because it was blank? And then what I advised him to do, advise is probably the wrong word. What I said he could do if he wanted to, but it was his choice, was put C instructions per whichever person was the sibling in charge, and then draw a line, big line through the page where everything was blank. And I don't know if that was right or wrong, or how much, because I don't want to notarize a form, a piece of paper that he just literally signed and left the rest of the page blank.
Laura, what do you say? Laura, is she on mute?
Come on, unmute.
Yeah.
First, I would not notarize the blank document. If the whole thing is blank and he's just signing it and I'm having to notarize it, I would say that's just not a good idea. In California, we cannot do that. It specifically states that we cannot. I'm not recalling Washington at the moment, even though I did them recently, about completeness, but I believe you have the same issue that I have, that it should be complete. It's one thing to have one line. It's another thing to not fill out most of the document. And then regarding the idea you suggested, I would not have suggested any ideas either, because if that was the wrong way to handle it, they'll come back and say, well, the notary said that's how I should do it. So I tell them, look, get the information. I'm happy to notarize it, but not like this.
Oh,
That would be
Oh, no,
my,
thank you. It's the wrong one. Thank you.
Hey, Lawanda, can you be, oh, there, I got her. I found her. I'll mute her. There we go. Okay, Randy, that was only 2 questions though. You said you had 3.
Right. So my last one was, so I just had a signing with a lady where she was actually signing a power of attorney over to her attorney to handle the selling all of her seller's transactions for selling her home. So it was the first step of the process. And she had a very, very shaky hand, and it took her about 10 minutes to sign 3 pieces of paper. And so she said, oh, well, maybe I need to get a stamp to do this. And that kind of put a thought in my head of, I've worked in other organizations where people have had stamps where the stamp has sufficed, where they put a stamp on something instead of signing it, or their secretary of stamps, stamped several dozens pages for them. In general, is that a possibility that that's a legal signature for someone if they had a stamp of their signature made?
I'm going to tell you, for most of the states, the answer is no.
Okay.
However, there are a few states where the answer is yes. And you'd have to look at your state statute. Washington is no. California is no. However, there are some states back east that do allow for that. I want to say one of the Carolinas might be it, that allow for that. However, they have to register their stamp that's what they're using for their signature. It's not like something they just buy at the stationery store and decide, oh, today I'm going to use the stamp. There's a process for it.
All right. Thank you.
Fascinating. I love that. Interesting. All right, Melissa Dominguez in California. Thanks for being here. Always a pleasure seeing you. You want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes. Hi. Okay, I have 2 questions.
Can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry. Let me turn it up. Can you hear me now?
It's a
Not
little,
really.
it's a little light. You might have to talk loud, Melissa.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I notarize for a minor to travel? And if so, they would bring the form, right? But is there anything I need to know about that?
Yeah, so a minor, form for a minor to travel is signed by the parent or guardian. First of all, they either have a form they downloaded or they hand wrote a letter. And then you're going to notarize the signature of the parent or guardian, whoever's giving the permission for them to travel unaccompanied by the parent or guardian. You may be notarizing for one, you may be notarizing for both.
Oh, is there that brought up another question. Do they both parents have to sign it?
Well, it's not our job to know that.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
letting you know that you may have both parents or you may have one parent. It depends on what their family situation is.
Okay.
So I don't know enough specifically on case by case, but it could be either is happening.
Okay. Well, I know it's a divorced couple, and the mother is the one wanting to do it. So when you brought that up, I didn't know if there's a legal thing that they have to. But
Yeah,
I don't think so.
but Melissa, whether they do or not, that requirement isn't for you to have to know.
Okay.
Right? If only one shows up and gets it done, then that's the one you take care of. Take care of whoever shows up.
Okay.
If they ask me, look, does my ex-spouse or my spouse also have to sign this? My answer is typically it's the non-traveling parent. However, I'm not an attorney, so I cannot advise you on whether both need to sign.
Okay. And it's not with family that he's going. He's going with
It doesn't have to be.
Okay. Okay.
It could be traveling unaccompanied or with auntie or with a friend or with a sibling, doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. All right. I
Okay.
got that. Next question. Debt settlement. What do you think about those? And it's like we have to give a presentation. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
I'll let Bill answer, but I'll tell you, I don't like them, so I don't do them.
Okay.
Yeah, Melissa, we have a presentation that we did with Valerie Dennis out of Texas inside Sign and Thrive in phase 3,
Okay.
where we kind of go through some of the pros and cons in those. The biggest challenge with debt settlement is there are some interpretations of some of the federal laws that make it look like the attorney might have some or the notary would have some liability in presenting some of the information. That is one of the interpretations. I don't necessarily see that from that angle, but still, even more so than that, is the energy around these types of transactions. We step into many of these loan signing appointments. There's a certain positive energy, a good vibe. People are excited to see us. In debt settlements, if they answer the phone at all, or if they respond to your confirmation, it's a totally different energy. And some people thrive in that environment and some people don't. So it really comes down to a very personal decision. But I highly recommend that you get into Sign and Thrive and the phase 3 course material and just make a decision for yourself and see if it's a good fit or not.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
But I'm with Laura. I don't like them and I don't take them.
All right. I thought it was a loan mod, and then it was this. So
Yeah, a little bit different. Yep.
and they're paying $50, and that was a re-trip fee in their instructions. So I'm thinking, well, maybe just get the experience and then see after that. I don't know.
I tend to like to go that route. Like I like to just try things out, see what I like, see what I don't like, before I ask for too many opinions about it. So that's definitely one way to go. But here's the way I look at it too, is if I'm getting paid $50 to do something like that, that means I'm not getting paid $200 to do something that I really want to do. So that's how I balance that out.
I think now that I've opened it up and looked into what it really is, I could still negotiate at this point or not.
I don't know. It's probably up to the company.
Okay.
For sure. If it's a re-sign, like somebody already made an attempt or did it wrong or something like that, they might have some flexibility because it's probably going to be a problem child for that, the client of that hiring company.
Okay.
But you can try it.
All right. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here.
All right. Is it Jachi? Jackie. It's probably Jackie, isn't it?
Yes, it's Jackie.
I wanted it to be Jachi, but that's all right.
I'll take that. Too. I'll
All
take
right.
that.
Jackie, thank you so much for being here. How can we, what state are you in and how can we help?
I am located in Texas. My main question is I am looking into starting a signing service, but I'm not really finding any information on how-tos. So I wanted to know if you guys knew of any reliable sources that I could use to kind of get information on how to start a signing service.
Yeah, what a great question. And I do not know of like any particular training programs that teach you how to do this, but I've done it and I'm happy to have a conversation with you, maybe on a 15-minute coaching call and just kind of tell you some of the things I do, the pitfalls I fell on into, and some opinions on how I might do things differently down the road. I'd be totally down to have a conversation like that with you. Would that be of value to you?
Yes, I would love that. Love to
Do you
get
have
some information on how to set that up.
Do you have a pen and paper handy?
I do.
All right, please don't call me, but feel free to text me anytime, 602-309-0706. And I'll get you on the calendar and we'll set up a 15-20-minute call and talk about that.
Great, that sounds good. Thank you so much, Bill.
Thank you, Jackie. Bye-bye. Daniel Brewer from Oregon and Washington. How's it going?
Going good, Bill. How are you?
Fantastic. How can we help today?
Hey, I wanted to take a minute, if it could. I'm to pitch this Toastmasters club I'm starting. I'm going to have our first demo meeting on October 7th. It's going to be a meeting for the notary community specifically.
Awesome.
So everybody in this club, hopefully, the vision is that everybody in this club has a notary commission. It will be for public speaking and leadership and kind of following protocols and speaking confidence, which is a big deal for us. It also helps you through those tough signings and being able to present yourself better. You get some good feedback in a pretty good area, and it's not very expensive. So we're going to be having a demonstration meeting on October 7th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 10:30 Mountain, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. We're hoping to meet every 2 weeks, but at this moment, we're just going to have one demo meeting on the 7th of October on Thursday.
I love that. How do people sign up?
You can go to notarymasters.org or notarymasters.club. And at this point, our sign-up sheet is simply a Google form, but that way at least we know how many people are going to show up. We're going to have a one guest speaker for our demo, but we're hoping to get everybody jazzed about this across the country. It's going to be kind of a nationwide club. When people that know Toastmasters think about a club that meets at a local place and we get together. This is going to be online. It'll be national, and it'll hopefully be over Zoom. Something we can do twice a month, and people can come when they want. I know it's not a convenient time for some people, but if you know it's on your
Daniel, I think we may have lost you or you lost me.
I think it's him.
Am I still here? Okay. Okay. Well, Daniel, I'm going to interject a little bit and I'll help you promote this because I'm a huge fan of Toastmasters.
Everybody is just frozen up on me.
Yeah, I think it's you, Daniel. I'll promote this and send this registration link out for you as well. But guys, Toastmasters, like I was saying, it absolutely changed my life and my career trajectory. I highly recommend it, especially for loan signings. You know, some people think that you only join Toastmasters if you're going to stand up in front of a group of people and deliver speeches and do networking and presentations. It's about a lot more than that, because think about every single loan signing appointment or every single estate planning or living trust appointment. What are we doing? We're presenting documents. And the more articulate we can do that, the clearer our thought processes can be, the better and more efficient some of our appointments can go. So I highly recommend it. Daniel, I will send out the link.
I find it's most helpful to me is when the questions come that we're not expecting, and how we're able to handle those answers kind of on the fly. And just be able to answer with confidence that I mean, learning that whole flow, I think it's kind of throws us off on our signings. And I think that it's really helped me in that area. So hope people can come. Thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely. That's the value of the table topics, right? All right, let's, Daniel, thank you so much for organizing that. Guys, that's what I talk about. You know, this industry is ripe for innovation and for people to step into that role and bring value to this community and to their customers. And I think this is a really good example of that in action. Quintus Pinder, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Yes, hi, my name is Quintus Pinder and I'm from New York. I have a question with regard to filling out the notary block on, I guess, just I'm basically filling out the notary block on loan signing using the PDF. Are you allowed to, I guess, edit the PDFs by either putting in the venue, the person's name and your name without signing? Are you allowed to do that?
So if I'm understanding correctly, can we use Adobe to modify a document's notarial certificate and just fill in the date, venue, names, that kind of information? Laura, you want to address this?
Well, there's nothing, there's no statute that I think you're going to find anywhere that says you can't do it, but I'm going to tell you that my experience is a lot of title companies do not want you to be doing it that way. They want you to fill it in by hand. They want to see what ink. So I don't recommend doing it that way, but I am aware there are notaries who do it that way for the efficiency reasons. I do make corrections and add information by hand. I don't do it with Adobe.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you for answering my question.
It's a great question. And I would even throw out there, because I love efficiency.
Yeah.
But when I have found, I would challenge the efficiency on this because it just doesn't time, whether I'm spent at the closing table or at my computer at home, is still time.
Right.
And I'd rather not have a problem down the road. So I just handwrite everything.
Bill, it's the same thing when people tell me they prepared their journal ahead. Well, you still had to spend time to do it before you
Right.
got there. Time
Yep.
is time. You're doing it somewhere.
Yep. So I think it's more about discomfort of sitting and having people stare at you while you're doing it. But I can deal with that now. Quintus, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. And now that we have quite a couple hundred more people on than I originally made the announcement, Tennessee Notaries, if you are available this Saturday, Laura is bringing her real world advanced notary training to Tennessee. It's at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time this Saturday. It's almost 50% sold out as it is. So there's only a few seats left. We cap it off at 35 seats. But if you'd like to join us, that is coachmelora.com/TN to get yourself registered. And if you use coupon code PEEPS, that's PEEPS, you'll save $70 off the registration there. All right, let's get to B. Alderson in Pennsylvania. B, thanks for being here.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Oh, okay. My what I'm looking for is I'm just starting to get everything set up to start my loan signing business. And I just got a Brother HL L5200 DWT.
Lucky you.
And yeah, it was very hard to come by. And but my problem is that I'm trying to find a document that has letter and legal size pages in it so that I can check my printer to make sure that it will print the documents correctly. And I found Laura's 10 steps to flawless loan signing on nationalnotary.org, but when I printed it, it all printed out on legal, but it looked like it should have printed out some on letter and some on legal, but I don't know if that's correct. But I just need to make sure that before I go, start signing up to get signings, that my printer's going to work right.
Yes.
Was on chat on Monday. I was chatted with someone at Brother.
B, I have a couple of solutions for you.
I'm sorry?
I have a couple of solutions for you.
Oh, okay, good.
So the first thing is, and I don't know for sure if Laura's document was both letter or legal, but if it's coming out all on legal, then something's probably not right. There's something off with the settings. So I have two sources for you. First, if you happen to be in Sign and Thrive, I have a document vault with 7 to 12 different loan packages that print both letter and legal size. If you're not part of the Sign and Thrive training course and community, don't sweat it. I have some free resources. It's the notarycoach.com/free stuff. This is in the resource page for the book.
I read your book and I've gone to your free stuff before, but I didn't see documents in there, but I'll have to go back and look again.
Yep, exactly.
So you have some documents in there that will print letter and legal.
There's a complete loan set of documents in there for you that prints on both letter and legal sizes. And if it doesn't do that for you, then your settings are incorrect.
Okay.
All right.
All righty. I will try that. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. And congratulations on getting a printer. Welcome to the biz.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Leilani, thank you so much for being here. You want to tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help? Or is it Leyland? I said Leilani because I know a Leilani, but is this Leyland Robinson? Are you there? We can come back to you. Miriam, thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help?
Hi, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending. Oh no, afternoon for everybody at this point. Yes, I'm in California. And first off, I would like to say, Laura, thank you so much for taking my phone calls whenever I was at a signing and I had no idea what to do. And I just thought, Laura, I have her phone number because I'm working through your library and I'm so grateful for every time you pick up the phone. So thank you.
My pleasure.
So I have two questions. Let me see if I can remember them. The first one is, Laura, I'm watching the trust videos. And so my question is, when I do a document that is not California compliant, I mean, a certificate that is not California compliant, and I have to replace the acknowledgement or the jurat, is there specific, because I've never done one, is there specific trust language that has to be on an acknowledgement or a trust, or is it just my regular, regular ones?
Regular acknowledgement.
Okay.
So if the acknowledgement is not California compliant and the trust is meant to stay here in the state of California, replace it with a California acknowledgement. There's nothing special.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. And then the other question, so far when I did loan signings that were registered out of state, I always replace them with my California compliant documents, certificates, just to be safe, just because that's what I've always done. It always worked. But I know that, or I've heard, I need to hear it again. If something is it registered out of state when I don't have to add my own certificates? Because
it's going to be, the only time it has to be California format is if it's going to be filed in the state of California. We don't care what they're doing with it in another state. All we care is that it's leaving our state. If it's leaving the state of California, great. We don't have to change it out as long as there's no representative capacity, meaning a title of some kind included in the certificate. The ones that have to be California acknowledgement are the ones that are going to be filed. And since we don't really know what's going to be filed and what's not going to be filed, we say anything staying in the state of California, have a California certificate. That's the acknowledgement rule. The jurat rule is every jurat, every time, has to be California format.
True. Okay, I'm going to write it down. I'm writing it down. That's how I'm looking down, just so that I have it, because I've heard it a million times. We do the classes and then I get to like, wait a minute. Okay, so I would know that if a property is out of state, is that how I know that the acknowledgements can be whatever?
Well, for real estate, if you see an out-of-state property, we know that's their paperwork's gonna be filed for that state because it'll be filed with the county recorder's office or whatever agency that is in that state where the county is or where the property is. So I know I can use acknowledgements from that state because they're not going to file that property documentation here. If it's not real estate, the only way you would know really is to ask your signer, where is this document going?
Okay, usually it's loan sign. I do ask about loan sign. I mean, both is good to know, but the vast majority for me is property. I mean,
And let
loan
the
sign.
property tell you.
Okay, property out of state means I can add whatever, I can leave the acknowledgement, whatever it is.
As long as there's no representative capacity. And another word for that would be a title or a status. Like they're the trustee, they're the attorney in fact.
Okay, what was the word? Representative?
Capacity.
Okay,
Meaning they're signing on behalf of somebody else
okay,
or something else.
somebody else. Okay, thank you. I wish I had you in my pocket at all times, but for now, those are all the questions I have. And thank you, Bill, as well. Both of you are amazing. And I think that's the livest I've ever seen you guys. So I appreciate all you do.
Totally my pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And we're going to go back to Leyland or Leilani.
Hi, Bill. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I am a New York notary.
All right.
My question is, there was a gentleman from Texas. He had made mention of a signer signing and not filling in the form. I have a question in relation to that. So the other day, and I do signings regularly, every now and again you get a split signing. The signer on your end is not the person making the decisions. He's just the person who's just, just put their name down as the borrower.
Right.
So how do you deal with forms of that nature? That there's another signer who's making the decisions, who's going to fill out the, where does this check go when the time comes? And, how do I want this done?
Yeah.
The packet that I sent out had to be wet signature to the other party to fill out. So I allow the signer to leave that information blank because of that reason. Now, how does that fit in the do not, because I don't leave blanks. I have to put lines through everything if they're not answering, because I don't want anyone else to put any information on that document. But when it's 3 people signing it, how do you do?
Yeah. Laura, what do you say to this?
Well, first of all, my first question is going to be, is it being notarized? Because if it's not, I don't have an issue. They can do what they want. It's not notarized. I don't have to impose notary rules on non-notarized documents. So that would be the first place I'd start with. Then if it's notarized, I'd look to see what is the information that's not there. Is it possible for them to find out what it is? Can they make a call and just repeat it? Right? So it's the other person, the other signer. Can they have communication with them and get the information so I can notarize it?
Okay. And my other question is, only had 2. My other question is, I did a name affidavit. Now in New York State, we are not allowed to certify anything. But I noticed the language on the jurat says certify. How do we change the language on a signature name affidavit so that it doesn't, so we're not.
If the language is not right, don't use it. Replace it with your own certificate that is right.
But how do you, well, maybe I need to Google a certificate that is a correction for a signature name affidavit, because it says, I certify that John Doe is John Smith and John Peters.
Right, but
so
then he
if
could
that
sign
information has to be on there. How do you?
So if the document is constructed incorrectly, see in that document portion, the document signer is the one certifying that he's all these things. After his signature comes your jurat, where you make him swear what he just signed is true. So that's how it should work.
Yeah, but that's
not how it's working.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how Mortgage Connect set up that form to be filled out. So I have to figure out how to reword that properly.
Have a conversation with Mortgage Connect and let them know I cannot certify this guy's names like this. I have notary wording that I use to certify he's the right guy signing a document, and that's what I'm allowed to use, not whatever you make up.
Got it.
I wouldn't tell them that way, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how it'll blow over, but you know, it is something to bring to their attention just in case, you know, they're either not in compliance with me making that correction or allowing me to do so properly.
Bill, do you have
right.
something you want to add to that?
The only thing that jumps into my head though is that in some states, like in Arizona, the state mandates our language mandates our language for acknowledgements and jurats. So I can download and print those, and just replace that jurat with the jurat. It doesn't matter what document it goes to. A jurat's a jurat.
Right.
So we don't customize it for the types of documents that it is. So I just attach it to that. And then I've had every now and then someone will call and say, hey, why did you replace the certificate? And then I'll tell them why I did. But 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, 9.5 times out of 10, they just accept it for what it is. They're assuming that the notary must know something that they don't know.
All righty.
And they just take it. Yeah. But I like Laura's suggestion, though, is to have a conversation too. The challenge that I find, the challenge I have with conversations on the front end is they oftentimes don't get it and they don't respect it. And I end up going down this tunnel of having to show statutes and code and
because this is
why it doesn't work. And then somebody's ego gets damaged. So I don't like to do that. I just like to, I know what I can do and know what I can't do. So I just do it.
Got it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that.
Bye.
All right. Sherry Tizano, great to see you on today. How can we help? It's Montana, right, Sherry? Don't forget to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. Yes. Hello, Bill. This is Sherry Tizano from Montana. Real quick. I've been getting a call a couple times about Alexa, EXELA Tech. They are a Ron company. Has anybody heard of them?
I have not. If anybody has and has any feedback, please type it into the chat window. Laura, have you heard of them?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're international, and of course they're national. So I was a little bit skeptical of them. Okay. Pavazo is probably the best one to sign up with, is it not?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. Is that so? The first thing that I would recommend by far is going to ronuniversity.com with John Holder and doing a little bit of research, because now they're, you know, Sherry, when I first met you in Montana when we did that Ron Summit, there was like maybe 9 Ron platforms, and now there's just dozens of them everywhere, and they all have their own little nuance. And the people who use them regularly and are building a business with Ron, they probably have the best feedback on this. But in Montana, I think you're limited to the ones that make it to their approval list. So you can compare that to the interviews and the demos that Ron has at his, or John has at his Ron University. And he does a really good job of outlining the pros and the cons on that, if you decide that Ron is the direction you want to go.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I mean, when I got into this and met you, Bill, yeah, I mean, that's the reason I was doing it, but I love meeting people face to face. And what I'm finding out too is the adjustment in prices. I don't know if it's just in Montana, but you know, I get pricing like $50, $75 to drive 250 miles, a 3-hour round trip. And I don't know, it just seems to be getting crazy. And some of the title companies that I work with regularly, they've gone to new platforms. They don't work half the time. Is anybody else experiencing this?
Yeah, well, without a doubt, I'm sure there's going to be some growing pains with new platforms. So I'm sure other people are going through this. there are some that have worked it out, and I think this is just part of the wave that we're on, that there's going to be some of these bumps in the road. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly where we could send you, except to connect specifically with John Holder at Ron U, and maybe he can offer some feedback on there. But here's what I've learned, and I still continue to hear, that on the loan signing side, there's not a whole lot of volume. I bet Montana will probably get there faster because you guys are so spread out from each other. 200 miles is probably generous. Some people have neighbors 400 miles away, so it might start making more sense up there, especially from a financial standpoint. But I don't know that the rest of the country's there yet.
Okay.
So check out ronuniversity.com.
Okay. All right. And my final question is, Laura, when are you going to do Montana training, or are you?
You knew that was coming,
Yeah,
Laura.
I will be, but it'll be 2022. I've got my list through December set up, and Montana is in the next year.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to it. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Sherry. And Laura,
Okay.
we are 1 minute past time, but we only have one more hand up. Do you have time to answer Cammie's question with me?
Go ahead.
Cammie Corbin, thank you so much for being patient. How can we help?
Hi there, ladies and germs. How are we today? Sorry, I'm running over for you.
No problem.
Thanks. So this is to both of you all. I'm super excited because yesterday I got a call from Chicago Title for a direct. And so this is my second direct that I've actually gotten Fidelity and then Chicago. And so I asked her, I said, how did you get my number? Not that I'm complaining or anything. And she said, oh, you're on the quote unquote approved list. So I'm assuming that approved list would be the list that's Fidelity has. Is that once you're Fidelity approved, does that make sense?
It sounds like it to me. Did you go
Okay.
through the process and be approved? Somebody sponsored you?
Yes. I got really lucky on that aspect. Okay, so then my next thing is, I know winter is coming up, and do we normally see a slowing trend in the winter? So the reason I'm asking this question is because I've put out some marketing aspects of where I've gotten some postcards that kind of introduce myself that I'm going to use to send to people. And then I got some thank you postcards that I'll be sending to obviously like the title people and things like that once they've used me. And I'm just kind of curious about, I know I want to diversify. I'm doing pretty well with these somewhat directs, but any suggestions that y'all have for that would be really good. I do live in a small beach town, so I think we have quite a bit of work here, so I'm pretty lucky in that aspect.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of questions packed into that.
Yes, there is.
So the first thing is, traditionally, I think November, December used to be considered a slower time in mortgages. That has not been the case, Laura. I'd say maybe the last 5 years at least.
Yeah, maybe about that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I haven't noticed any month that is significantly slower.
Okay, that's good news.
Because of weather, or seasonally right now. Like we've had some dips, and July felt like it was kind of slow for me, but then August and September's crazy,
Right.
So I don't think there's going to be a trend that way. And then as far as what you're doing is building relationships, using those cards to do so. So I think you're right on track for that. And if you're in a small town or a small beach town too, then this is really going to be all about relationships. So I'd up your relationship game. It sounds like you've already got a pretty clear picture of that, but this is where I might get involved in networking, chamber events, those types of things, and just claim your spot. You are the go-to notary. Laura, what suggestions do you have?
I'm just going to say ditto at the moment, because I hate to have to repeat what you've already said.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Good. Sounds like you're right on track.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day and stay safe.
All right. Thank you. You too. All right, everyone. We're wrapping up. Laura, any closing words you have for everyone this week?
What do I have? Gosh, I forgot I wanted to share something that happened. So can I share it real quick? It's a very short. If somebody has to drop, that's okay. But I want to give you an example of how how you show up and what you do can make the difference in growing your business. And I took care of a lady at a skilled facility. When I got there, I found out she really didn't have close family as credible witnesses, and her ID was expired. The son-in-law did one. Her second credible witness turned out to be her dentist. Her dentist, who's been taking care of this lady's teeth for like the last 30 years. And so as we're working through it, I was just so impressed that her dentist, this isn't her neighbor, her dentist would take an hour, because it was like, 15 minutes to get there. It was about 20 minutes or so with me, and then to get back to her practice. And it just so happens that my dentist retired a couple months ago, and I'm looking for a new dentist. And I said, "Are you happen to be taking new patients? I'm looking for a dentist myself." She said, "Oh, absolutely." And she gave me her card. Now, I have since called, and for myself and my husband. My son will be going to her as well, and my other son and his wife. Now, look how many patients she got from happen to be nice to one of her patients. It just impressed me she would do that for this lady. So I just want to point out, you never know what you're doing and the impact you're having on somebody else. That's the kind of dentist I want. So I decided to go get her.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. You just never know who you're going to meet at a closing table or at an appointment. It's really powerful. And that's why you want to show up authentically, so you can notice in moments like that as well. All right. Thank you guys so much. Laura, thank you so much for being here. I know it's been a crazy day. For all of you who joined us today, thank you so much for growing yourself and your business on the Tuesday. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place. See you later. Bye-bye.